Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
This Monday is another total and complete information overload. There is so much important news. But I just want to harken back to Friday's top story again, or Sunday's top story when I was on 4 to 6 p.m. last night. Hillary Clinton, nationwide gun ban, repeal of Second Amendment, worth considering, close quote. And they're now announcing they've already shut down over 1,000 power plants. They're going to double that in Obama's last year, what he did in 7. Starting next year, they want to double that before he leaves. That'll be 2,000 plus power plants shut down. And I know I just mention that constantly, but that is such a devastating military attack on this country to bankrupt this nation. I just cannot get over how much they hate us, how bad they are. Most of it in the Midwest and the South. They are screwing over the bitter clingers. That's you. They absolutely hate our guts. While building a new power plant every 2 weeks in Mexico and 3 a week in China. Owned by the very companies pulling out of the U.S. I'm sorry. I've got literally 200 articles or more here, and I'm getting into stuff that's not even in my stack. Economist, former political prisoner. He was arrested over it. He publicly, it was in the Wall Street Journal at the time, predicted the 87 stock market crash, Black Friday, and he predicted the Nikkei fall and several others. And when he wouldn't give up his algorithm, they threw him in the Hooskow, which is what they do. When freedom fails, the best men rot in filthy jails, and those that cried, appease, appease, were hung by those they tried to please. Martin Armstrong will be joining us in the third hour. Joe Biggs and Josh Owens are going to be in studio with us at the bottom of the next hour, because you could almost say, when it comes to political news, you could quote Johnny Cash, I've been everywhere, man, I've been everywhere. Well, not quite, but I can see a decade down the road, if they're still working here, they would have been everywhere. So many stories I see now, we were, of course, on top of it way before. I'm not bragging. It's dangerous to be there early. But Homan Square revealed how Chicago police disappeared 7,000 people, and they even hired former Iraq dungeon keepers to run it. And remember, none of this was about stopping radical Islamics, getting rid of the Bill of Rights and Constitution. It was about setting the precedent for disappearing Americans. And so I want to tie this in to the Emergency Centers Act, the Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program, the Army Resettlement Program, Declassification Program. So we're going to be looking at Camp Club FEMA and looking at the exclusive Guardian report. Well, good for the Guardian doing an in-depth journalistic report about a year and a half after we did. And good job for TechDirt and everybody else. I'm just pointing out that we were there first 2 years ago and then again a year ago. And I'm really glad to see it starting to get a lot of coverage now. But we're going to give you, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. Paul Harvey, good day. I remember listening to Paul Harvey almost every time my dad took me to school as a child. He took me to school a lot because Mom was at home. When he had time, he'd drive me in. Sometimes I took the school bus. I remember him picking me up, too. Are we going to Dallas for business or work? Always listening to WBAP AM. And now, Paul Harvey. I'm kind of digressing, ladies and gentlemen. You know, for a while, he had his son, Paul Harvey Jr., do it and imitate his dad, and folks would argue and go, no, Paul Harvey's alive. I'd go, no, Paul Harvey's not live, not senior. But again, being informed in a nation of nincompoops is a conspiracy theory. As I said, the fact that women ever had children vaginally will be known as a conspiracy theory. The fact that women ever gave milk to their babies will be a conspiracy theory. We'll be back. Stand up and be counted for what you are about to receive. We are the dealers. We give you everything you need. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to promote basic human freedom. We are here to stand up to tyrants and different organized crime syndicates worldwide. Thank you so much for joining us. There is a literal overlord globalist operation being launched right now to try to complete their construction of a private run-for-profit, above-the-law world government. At the same time, there is a smorgasbord, an accelerated, explosive awakening of people across the planet to exactly what's happening. Let me just do this, as I do occasionally. Let me just try to give you the headlines and then plunge back into it. How about just the headlines on the top of each stack, some stacks up to 20 articles thick? America is due for a revolution. New York Post. America is a bomb waiting to explode. RT. And then we have the globalists pushing to have that meltdown take place. Look at this stack. Probably the most important of all the news today if we really dig into it long term. Social media is making millennials less social, study finds. That's like finding the ocean is blue. Here's one out of Bloomberg. Social skills are last line of defense for humans seeking work. You know, that's what I tell my children every day. I say, try to make good grades. They go to private school now. They were homeschooled for a long time. They liked it, but we like full-time private schools so they can engage in sports, swimming, and tennis. That's what happens when they get older. It's a social issue, and that's fine. But I tell them, stop pulling your hair out over homework. If you make a B+, I'm happy. Stop hyperventilating. You got 16 pages of homework. You just focus and do it. You can be done in an hour and then do whatever you want. But I said what really matters is being charming and looking people in the eyes and being funny. And folks don't tell their kids that. I mean, people think the more surly, the more arrogant they are, the further they're going to get ahead. And that's why you have an ocean of losers out there. Social media making millennials less social, study finds. That's CNBC. Here's another one. Bloomberg. Social skills are last line of defense for humans seeking work. They have to write articles telling folks that. I was watching CBS News this morning while I was on the elliptical, and they were telling people how to wash their hair and what motions to go in with shampoo, and then that you didn't need to put soap under your arms when you're in the shower because it's just not good to use soap. It was really bizarre. And it made me realize the television, the mainstream media, literally is telling people how to wipe their hind ends. And that's the old joke of, tell me how to wipe my own hind end. That's what this has come to. But that's their audience. Arrested Development lobotomy heads. And I'm not being sarcastic, and I don't say that in some sardonic, power-tripping mode. These people are hordes of ignorant morons. They're black, they're white, they're Hispanic, they're Asian. We all see them. Man, they're scary. Man, they're feeble. Man, they're dull-eyed. They're walking dead. And the Pentagon trains in Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force drills to mow down the American people en masse during societal collapse. And when we and others at InfoWars exposed all this, they said, okay, we'll stop practicing mowing down people wearing overalls and John Deere hats or mowing down crowds of black people. We got footage of that and warned folks before the whole race war thing got cooked up by Obama. We could see the preparation and predicted it. You go to an Army base and you see hundreds of black role players being put in FEMA camps by troops. I mean, they're gearing up to grab black folks, and they're gearing up to grab country people. They're gearing up to go after rednecks. For all the problems blacks have and the way they can be misdirected like any other social group, at least they do get angry and stand up for themselves sometimes, even if it's misguided. And I'll quote the Full Metal Jacket statement of the sergeant private joker's silly and he's ignorant, but he's got guts, and guts is enough. You notice the government trains to take on Christians, gun owners, rednecks, country boys, black people. You're starting to get a pattern here. I wouldn't say the indigenous Americans, but the groups that have been here 400 years. People that think they got a right to own a gun, people that think they've got a right to go to the church they want to. Americans are being targeted. People that have had a common experience with each other. The globalists hate our guts. And they're going to finance black groups to go out and kill police and stuff to then demonize black people in general and then set them up. But I'm digressing. We already know that. So social media making millennials less social. Really? That's what it's designed to do. I mean, before he died, they asked Steve Jobs, what kind of iPads or iPhones do your kids have? He said, I don't even let them have screen time, much less one of these pads. Are you kidding? I don't want mentally retarded hunchbacks. That was his full, basically, quote. That's what it does. It makes you mentally retarded and hunchbacked. Believe me, I'm hunchbacked from leaning over computers a little bit. 3 years of stretching and training has got some of my hump reversed, but I was going towards a true hump. Social media making millennials less social. We're going to get into that. Social skills, the last line of defense for humans seeking work. But don't worry, Oslo aims to make its city car-free within 4 years. That ties into it. I'll be getting into that. That's two tiny stacks. Let's move on to this next juicy. Sources, Biden could announce decision within 48 hours. Joe Biden will not be bullied by Clinton campaign into deciding on run. Hundreds of Obama bundlers missing from Clinton's elite fundraising ranks. Put the pieces together, connect the dots there. Then we've got Nancy Pelosi. I literally, when I just saw her face again, when I moved this article and could see her, thought that it looked like a cadaver on a slab. Pelosi, Democrats open to helping GOP elect speaker. Oh, but I digressed back. I knew I digressed. I'll start telling a story, and then I'll jump to one other part of the story. When the public found out that they were training to just mow down thousands of citizens rioting for food during collapse, they switched it to, oh, we're just training to mow down zombies. And then they put green paint on everyone to dehumanize the entire mass and then say they're dead already. And then I first reported on that about 4 years ago, and people didn't believe me. I said, no, we got military sources. They're practicing mowing down human wave attacks, but to get around the fact that the troops are saying, hey, we're practicing killing our countrymen, they call it a zombie attack drill. But nevertheless, that's what's happening. And every time I mention that without showing an article, people don't believe me. So guys, train search engine military trains to take on zombies. You'll have LA Times, Associated Press, Reuters, Army Times, Stars and Stripes, and it's got the Marines, Army, and everybody training that we're dehumanized, we're dead already, and they're going to mow us all down. And that's what we're going to be covering with our reporters, Joe Biggs and Josh Owens, at the bottom of the next hour. There it is, CNN. Pentagon document lays out battle plan against zombies. And that's just a battle plan. They actually have the drills, so you can find those. Holmes Square revealed how Chicago police disappeared 7,000 people. We're going to tell you about the exact way they're already preparing for the mass disappearance of millions of Americans. Oh, and you think you'll just hide out and use cash? Look at the Wall Street Journal. We always knew when this got announced it was another shoe to drop, another balloon to go up. Big banks to America's firms, we don't want your cash. Cash to be banned. That's Wall Street Journal. Let me continue here. Sorry, I didn't get too deep into this stack. Pelosi, Democrats open to helping GOP elect speaker. And I bet Jeffrey Dahmer was open to grabbing 12-year-olds out of the hallway of his apartment. And, oh, I mean, we know you're open to that, and we know you worked with Boehner to make sure he got in. We get it, witch. We get you two parties team up together against the American people. We got it, scum. Mrs. Mafia. Paul Ryan open borders push with Luis Gutierrez exposed in 2013 video. For 20 years, Paul Ryan wants totally open borders. He's a complete globalist like Peter Sutherland. House GOP faces leadership disarray as it returns to the Capitol. They call it disarray. It's a great victory that we're forcing a battle to try to get a patriot in, but the media will never even discuss there's a Tea Party move to try to get somebody in. It's all just, they're in disarray. Look at them. Will Paul Ryan take it? Maybe. He's got Pelosi support. Oh, my gosh. Ryan says he's open to running for speaker. Oh, he's open. Don't play too hard to get. Sanders would raise payroll taxes on everyone to fund paid family leave. Yeah, that's what Trump breaks down. And it's true. I mean, that's what all the socialists don't get. You got to pay for this stuff. Amazon post blistering response to critical New York Times article. We're going to be getting into that report. Also, the plot against Donald Trump, how they have fifth column infiltrators going into his organization, New York Post, to try to discredit him from within. Yeah, we've actually dealt with infiltrators as well. I mean, it's not as bad as Terminator 1, where you're in your underground warren and one dog start barking and they throw off their jacket and start firing on everyone, but it's pretty darn close. I love it. It's when you know you're over enemy targets. We'll be back. I'm going to come back in the next segment and break down the huge announcements concerning rate increases and fines via Obamacare, the latest on the imploding borders and what's happening in Europe. An anti-immigration party wins Swiss election in slide to the right. We're going to get into science and technology news. Samsung to make robots cheaper than any human worker, close quote. We'll also get into the situation escalating with the stabbings and murders in East Jerusalem. They've had to crack into the emergency seed vault arcs in the North Pole, or at the North Pole. That's in CNN. More on the big banks to ban cash. It's all being announced. We'll break it down. But before I go any further, I did want to make the announcement Friday, but Peter Schiff, who's a von Mies free market economist, patriot, former Ron Paul chief advisor, was scheduled to be on the show to talk about developments in the market, as he is every 2 weeks, every second Friday. But he couldn't do it. He said, my dad's dying right now. He's, quote, passing over to the other side right now. And I didn't want to obviously say, hey, pray for Irwin Schiff, because that was a private matter at that time. He did die a few hours later. And then, of course, his son put out a eulogy, a good article yesterday. Irwin Schiff passes away. Patriot had lifelong affair with our nation's founding principles. And I knew Irwin Schiff pretty good. Worked with him to get a show on Genesis that got on over 100 stations. He was based out of Las Vegas. They put him in prison for his book. The judge said it was national news. It was in the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Wall Street Journal. And Forbes even said it was political prisoner, and said, stop publishing this book saying the income tax is a fraud. We're going to put you in jail. And they put him in jail for 15 years. His sentence had about a year left. He died of cancer on Friday. And I went to dinner with him more than 10 times, had him on my show countless times. Yeah, of course, hadn't been on for over 13, 14 years. He's been in federal prison. And they put him in one where he couldn't even see his family. And then the computer recognizes your voice print. His voice was so bad the last few months, he couldn't even talk to family over the phone. Prison didn't care, wouldn't let him talk to him. But his son tried to get there, for when he died. I don't want to get off into the whole Israel thing, but I saw a minority of the comments on InfoWars, saying, why didn't this rat Jew ever speak about the New World Order? And just all these sickening statements when that's all Irwin Schiff did for like 40 years was fight the New World Order, the Private Federal Reserve, the IRS, write books on it. And it's just the hatred of different groups of people mindlessly in general by nobodies with a keyboard that don't even know who somebody is sickening and discrediting. And I know a lot of those are bots and haters and leftist operatives that try to make the site look racist. And there is a lot of problem with some of the lobbies in Israel, and I criticize it, and some of the leftist anti-gun groups in Israel financing gun control here. And that's legitimate criticism, but just mindless hatred of different groups of people, and then to just project onto someone that they never fought the New World Order just to say that so you could try to have stolen glory is sickening. And I had a real desire, the people writing that stuff, to, if I saw you, to punch you in the nose. Because he died a political prisoner and could have stopped publishing the book, The Federal Mafia, and they told him he could come out anytime. They would let him be paroled if he just recanted, and he wouldn't. That's a William Wallace type character. I don't care if he was black, white, German, Jewish, Chinese. I can admire people like that. And see, that's what separates myself from people like the New Black Panther Party or the Ku Klux Klan, is that I'm about individuals and what they produce, what they stand for. Can I count on them in a pinch? Are they honorable? Like Martin Luther King said, we don't judge people on their race, but on the content of their character and their deeds. And just thank God that I'm in a society, the human society, where I'm not a member of any group, because I wouldn't be a member of any organization that would have me, to quote Charlie Chaplin. I think that's who said that. I'm just in the human race here, and I admire humanity, and I admire individuals. There are a lot of groups I don't like, but Irwin Schiff was an amazing person. And I don't know if in that position, and a judge said, just stop publishing this book, I won't put you in prison for 15 years, would I have the courage, facing federal prison, to do what he did and go to prison? And I probably would have his courage, but I haven't proven that. I don't want to test that. It's just, he's a hero. And to watch people disparage a dead hero makes me want to kick your ass. That's all I have to say. We need to get into the situation in Europe, because it's the same policy they're trying here in the United States and North America to break down civilization. They're working with their so-called conservative counterparts to complete the larger globalist plan, because you don't get campaign funds unless you go along with the New World Order agenda. I also want to obviously get more into the situation in Syria, more on the situation with the election, and more mainstream news saying America is ripe for revolution. Just like the Middle East was ripe for revolution to democratize and be more pro-Western, so the West funded radical jihadists to take over in the last 5 years, and those think tank statements from Google and the United Nations have now all come out. Notice we're taking down the secular regimes like Iraq and Syria and Egypt and Libya, and putting in the truly nasty Saudi-run regimes. That is coming up. I want to get to really what's still our top story. Hillary came out. We covered it Friday. We covered it Sunday. It's on Infowars.com. It's a big deal because if you listen to Obama and others, it's the new talking point. Hillary Clinton, nationwide gun ban, repeal of Second Amendment, quote, worth considering. They are coming for the guns. But before we go any further, I wanted to just let the listeners and viewers know about some of the really exciting specials we're running at InfoWarsStore.com and InfoWarsLife.com. And these really are game-changing products, in my experience, in other people's experiences. You can read the 4.8 on average reviews by Power Reviews and others, highly respected third-party outfits. I mean, go to Power Reviews and others and look at other products. They're lucky if they got 3 stars. Ours has 4.8. It's really good products, plus our listeners love us. We love you as well. But Super Male Vitality is back in stock. It's a bunch of concentrated herbs and known botanical compounds that all I know is make me feel 15 years younger. And thank God I got on this 3 years ago and when it was being developed. InfoWarsLife.com. It is back in stock right now. We also have several other specials that are running. Of course, in the fall and winter is the best time to boost your immune system. And we have 15% off. It's usually $19. Now it's less. It's very inexpensive because these are great known well-documented herbs to help with your immunity, to boost immunity and overall health from the research that we have linked on InfoWarsLife.com. But now you get 15% off, $16.95. This is private labeled by the biggest herbal manufacturer in the country that has organic quality products that even pass California standards that very few can on not having any toxicity. Truly a game changer. It's about $25 on sale, generally under its official brand name. This is a product we just private label, and we normally sell it for $19.95 discounted because private labeling, we're able to go below the suggested retail. Well, now we've gone even lower, $16.95. And I just give my children a squirt of this every single morning under the tongue. It tastes great. They love it. Tastes kind of like a Ricola cough drop or something is the best way to describe it. And that's basically what it is. It's just concentrated known herbs, but it doesn't have the sugar or alcohol in it. There's 15% off on that. We are going to continue to run this special throughout the week because folks are really taking advantage of it and liking it. You can get 10% off on all the water filtration systems like G2 ProPure and others, and you can get free shipping, which is a huge deal. And you can also get free shipping right now and 10% off on the entire InfoWars Select powered by My Patriot Supply at InfoWarsStore.com. So again, that's InfoWarsStore.com for the general shopping cart to find everything, or InfoWarsLife.com to find our nutraceuticals, Made in1776.com. We'll bring you to the specials that are made right here in America, the apparel, the clothing, the belt buckles, you name it, limited edition, the Hillary for Prison shirt, you name it, at Made in1776.com, or again, InfoWarsStore.com is the umbrella site where everything is listed right there. You can also call toll-free and ask any questions or order over the phone, 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139, or write to us, P.O. Box. Just zoom in on the P.O. Box, and I'll be able to read that for folks because I see it across the room. I should have it memorized, but P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas, 78760. And I should announce this more because we're on a lot of new AM and FM affiliates in places like New York City. We'll be announcing that station next week. They want us to really build up to it. We've been on about a month. They're already getting a great response. We've got, I don't know, like 20-something new affiliates just the last month. I can't tell you what Drudge coming in did 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, we probably had, let's not exaggerate, 30 station inquiries for AM, FM to InfoWars. And we don't even handle it. GCN handles it up in Minnesota. But we had like 30 inquiries or more from AM and FM stations saying, hey, get a hold of us. We want to get you on. Because I guess they don't even know to go find GCN. We should probably, for AM and FM stuff, put a link on our affiliate page or a link on the listen page over to GCN and their phone number because the stations end up contacting us. But again, GCNlive.com is the network website for folks that want to pick it up. But just very exciting things happening. And I want to thank you, the listeners, and you, the viewers, for doing that. But I should add, because we have a lot of new affiliates, what I was first trying to say, that we are simulcast television, not just a webcam that myself and others pioneered 15 plus years ago, but a full TV news production. And you can find those details, again, at Infowars.com/show. And more importantly, if you've already found it, the podcast, the Droid app, the iPhone app, all of it, send that link to friends and family and neighbors. Tell folks about the show and how there's forbidden information that they need to be made aware of. And that is what this is. We are forbidden information that the globalists don't want the general public to come in contact with, and they're moving heaven and earth right now to try to spike the First Amendment in the United States and free speech from Canada to Germany right now to try to shut this information down and people like us down because it's so effective, because it's dead on target. We know who the globalists are. We know their philosophy. We know their plans. We know their end games. We know their weaknesses. We know what makes them tick, their modus operandi, their modes of operation. We carry the light in the dark of the night. And we're here to set brush fires in the minds of humans across the globe to promote a free, open society of free will and free association. Now, before I get to the other news, let's get into Hillary Clinton. This is such a big deal that we've had Obama and we've had CNN and we've had all these hosts say, hey, it's reasonable. We'll just do what Australia and the UK did. And what they did, you know, I'm having a Pavlovian response. I literally can't look at Hillary anymore. They just put her on screen, and she looks like the alien from Mars Attacks that comes to the White House. She actually has a alien Martian melon head. And I could attack her for all of her crimes and all the things she's committed and coming after our guns, but I just cannot look at her anymore. I have a Pavlovian nausea response to looking at her. You know what? I'm going to force myself to look. Put the Gorgon back on. Put Hillary back on screen. I have to force myself to look at Medusa. Put her on. I'm not even being dramatic here. Okay. All right, that's enough. Manned up for a minute. Okay. Excuse me. Yes, what do they call that therapy? Aversion therapy? My mother, I guess she doesn't mind if I tell this story. My mother did aversion therapy when I was about 5 years old for her birthday. We budgeted the money because my dad was working 2 jobs to go through dental school. I was about 4 or 5 years old, I'll never forget. And she went off for a week to this aversion therapy place. I think it was called Schick or something. You see the ads when I was a kid. I didn't see it after the time I was about 12, but in Dallas. And you'd go in and there was all these dirty mirrors and like trash all over the floor and piles of cigarettes and ashtrays everywhere. And you would sit there and smoke cigarettes one after the other while they shocked you intermittently. And my mother never wanted another cigarette again after a week of that, I'll tell you. But see, I've already had the aversion therapy. I've already been through the Clintons for 20 plus years on air. I know so many crimes they've committed that it makes my head spin to even look at her. And so when I look at her, it's like showing a meerkat an image of a cobra. You know, meerkats' main enemy is cobras because they go into their holes in Africa and eat them. And so when I see Hillary, it's like a giant king cobra is fanned out in front of my desk. And it's just like, ah. And I'll be here looking at all this news and all the stuff I want to cover. And then they'll pop her up on screen with some article. And I don't even look at the article now. I have a Pavlovian meerkat response of hissing. But I guess I should. I mean, she's going to try to confiscate the guns. Obama's talking about it, too. She's putting out weird Stalin posters of herself. And then she's saying, it's totally reasonable. It's no big deal. It's like changing a tire. You know, they had automatic weapons, which they didn't, and they're killing everybody. And there's these, you know, spat, this raft, this uptick in all these shootings, which isn't true. And so they just, you know, said, we're going to buy the guns back. And then they didn't turn them in. Well, then they went and got them. And she sits there talking to her soft, stupid constituents that aren't going to fight in the Civil War. They're just going to cuddle in their, you know, houses with no power and basically get in a fetal position and hug their Hillary Clinton snuggle toys. But when she's on C-SPAN last week, it's the constituents, the weird women nodding and getting off on the reflected glory of Hillary onto them. They've never accomplished anything. They are nothing. They have incredibly low IQs. They found, whatever reason, liberals in the Canadian, U.S., and British studies are 6 times more likely to steal, 6 times more likely in all 3 studies not to give, and many times more likely in another study I saw, I forget the details, to have Alzheimer's. Because they're not alive. They just fidget around. They're little group thinkers. They have no place in society. They help no one. Most of them don't have kids. They watch TV all day, and so their brains just start shutting down. The body says, time to die. I'm not of use. Self-destruct. So let's look at the self-hating, self-destruct switch creatures who Mark Dice and our reporters go out as well and duplicate, and we say, should we put gun owners in forced labor camps? Yes. So we're going to take their guns and put everybody that has guns in prison. Yes, I'm sick of these gun owners. And they'll sit back on a power trip at night, folks, while we're in a FEMA camp, feeling powerful, even though they probably couldn't deadlift 45 pounds. Even though they never helped anybody, they don't want to help. They just have the moral superiority that they're helping people. They're the most envious, jealous, greedy, non-giving piles of dog manure the planet's, well, those actually have use in fertilization, excuse me, piles of maggot vomit the world has ever seen. And I'm sorry, it was worse than that. It's students signed petition to have gun owners executed in concentration camps. Yeah, he did one where they said execute everybody and torture them. The other was with adults. Man, well, these were college students. They're adults too, but Arrested Development, they're about 5-year-olds. But they hear about totalitarianism and they get off on it. So it was worse than I said, excuse me. It pretty much always is, isn't it? We're going to go inside the FEMA camps in about an hour and, well, not about an hour, about 45 minutes from now. But let's go ahead and go to Hillary. Just up there like it's just something she's letting slide out in church, something she kind of wants to not take responsibility for, silent but deadly. She just is just putting it out there that it's no big deal. It's real reasonable. We'll just do what Australia did, you know, total gun confiscation, except for single shot and mass gun buybacks and steamrollers rolling over the guns by the millions. It's no big deal. And then crime exploding. Let's go ahead and go to the clip.
You know, Australia is a good example. Canada is a good example. The UK is a good example. Why? Because each of them had mass killings.
Look at the men at these places.
Australia had a huge mass killing.
Imagine having to be around them.
25 years ago.
Look at those women.
Canada did as well.
Creepy.
So did the UK. And in reaction, they passed much stricter gun laws. In the Australian example, as I recall, that was a buyback program. The Australian government, as part of trying to clamp down on the availability of automatic weapons, offered a good price for buying hundreds of thousands of guns, and then they basically clamped down going forward in terms of having, you know, more of a background check approach, more of a permitting approach. But they believed, and I think the evidence supports them, that by offering to buy back those guns, they were able to, you know, curtail the supply and to set a different standard for gun purchases in the future. Now, communities have done that in our country.
And
several
it's created
communities
hellholes. Chicago, New York, D.C.
But I think it would be worth considering doing it on the national level if that could be arranged. Remember, I know after the terrible 2008 financial crisis, I think one of the programs that President Obama was able to get.
Yeah, the financial crisis created pretty much by the Democrats. I mean, that's something that Larry Summers and Bill Clinton and Hillary all cooked up in the 90s. Republicans went along with it, but I mean, if you're informed, you realize how dangerous that is. But her constituents, to a man, to a woman, their ancestors never had guns. Their ancestors never stood up for anybody. It is alien to them that a man would even know how to fight or a woman would know how to fight back for themselves. I mean, we've got the socioeconomic actuaries, the sociology on these people. These people are dead already. These people basically are walking, breathing Alzheimer's machines. Bipartisan evil that wants bodyguards for itself but no guns for you. And a race to domesticate and dumb down the public so that they're so enslaved they really believe owning a gun would be detrimental. Most Democrats I talk to go, if I had a gun, I'd kill myself. I might blow my own head off. I might start killing people. I'd go crazy. Why, I'm on psychotropic drugs and I wear women's clothes and I'm crazy and I can't do that. That was Buzz Bissinger. Because after he went on air and said, I want to kill Alex Jones with a rifle, and then the ambassador's daughter goes, yeah, Piers, you could wear a military officer's uniform when you kill him. She starts going, These are deranged loons. A gun owner wouldn't get up and talk about shooting innocent people on air. They wouldn't talk. And then Bissinger goes, it's true, I'm mentally ill. I shouldn't have a gun. That's why it freaked me out to think of having one. I just want to buy women's clothing. And it's like, whatever. The point is, this is how whacked out these people are. If I had guns, I'd kill people. I just want women's clothing. And you're just like, what does that have to do with anything? That's who these people are. They're crazy town. But even crazier was the ambassador's daughter flushing on air when they talked about killing me and going, and you know when a woman's sexually aroused, she goes, you'll wear the uniform when you kill him. I'll be there. I mean, it's like, what? Who are these freaks? Piers, you're going to wear it. Oh my God, we'll kill him. I mean, these people are sick. Yeah, scroll down. You can see her right there. Look at her. Just, oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic here. She starts going, I mean, kill him. Yeah. Once we have the guns, we'll kill him. And Bissinger's, I wear clothes, women's clothes, murder. I mean, this is who we're fighting. It's a mass mental illness wave. Like hell opened up and demonic spirits came out and are taking people over or something. I don't know. Maybe it's space aliens. But this is not normal. Yes, Buzz Bissinger is a space alien. That's his name, right? I'm just going from memory here, teleprompter free. And, of course, the real problem is people don't have social skills. They're losing language. People will hear you use a complex word. They'll go, weird. Ugh. All they can do is just act trendy and go, ugh. And I'm going to cover that next hour. Really our top story other than the gun grab news. Social media making millennials less social, study finds. Really, they need a study to tell you that? And then Bloomberg, social skills are last line of defense for humans seeking work. Humans seeking work, because here's the headline. Samsung to make robots cheaper than any human worker. And all you trendies think they're getting you all domesticated and disarmed so that you'll have some new great fantasia you're going to live in. They're getting you ready to bioweapon you. They're going to send the droids out in the spring to clean your dead bodies out of your compact apartments while we're dug in fighting Cybertron. Stay with us. I was just looking on screen. They're running a feed of InfoWars. And it's one of those photos of Bush at the Crawford Ranch holding hands with the now deceased King Saud. I guess his brother now runs the show in addled form. And just how bizarre that is. To have one of the worst dictatorships in the world and our president kisses these guys on the lips and then holds their hands.